Fun fact, the Gospel of Mark is the shortest gospel that we have out of the four. And if you take a look at Jesus in Mark and sort of compare him to the Jesus that we get to see in Matthew and Luke and John, in Mark, Jesus is like sprinting all the way to the crucifixion and the resurrection. We will find that most of the stories in Mark are shorter. Some are not, and there's a reason for that. And then we have Jesus, who's just running around the countryside like the Energizer Bunny with the disciples in lockstep right behind him or beside him. They run from one healing to another and from one important teaching to another. Here we are just in the 6th chapter of Mark, and already Jesus is sending the disciples out by themselves. Who would have thought that possible? And the disciples, they are so pumped up. Their adrenaline levels are so high. They are moving so fast, their pace is so great that they don't even have time to eat. And I don't know about you, but when I think about this story and I try to imagine what it really looked like, I imagine that the disciples, still green, are all circled up around Jesus when they come back, and they are still stoked. They're about ready to burst at the seams, and they're wanting to tell the one who sent them all about what they have done, who they saw, the power to heal that they discovered that they had. And I imagine the disciples all talking at once like an excited bunch of school kids who have just met Steph Curry. And Jesus listens, as if he has all the time in the world. Without rest, without taking care of their needs, those disciples and Jesus and all of us, well, we're going to break. We're going to burn out. Talk to Pastor Sarah during Holy Week and see how she's doing. Jesus, being who he is, voices his concern to his 12 eager companions. He knows that he needs to take a break himself. He is broken. He has just found out that his very best friend has been murdered by Herod, a wannabe king. And Jesus says, hey, guys, come away with me. Come away with me to a deserted place all by yourselves, and let's rest for a while. I got to tell you, this is a genius place to begin this 10-week sermon series. The work of the disciples and Jesus made a huge difference in the broken lives of people that they fed and they healed and they listened to. They were all about making good trouble all the time. They were all about being holy disruptors, whether they knew it or not. And truth be told, John the Baptist was a holy disruptor, and that's exactly why he got killed. But lives spent at breakneck speeds, never pausing to rest, are not sustainable. I have an adult son who has told me that on more than one occasion, and I did not like it. Jesus says to all of us, come away with me to a deserted place and let's just rest for a while. This is exactly what the desert mothers and fathers were all about. It's what they understood. They left behind their assigned roles. They turned their backs on the expectations of others, and they took a different path. And in the words of Robert Frost, it made all the difference. It made all the difference. They lived both in communities and as hermits. Jesus was wanting to pull his disciples away to a deserted place These early Christians, they got it. That's exactly what they did. Desert mothers and fathers sought to embody the Christian faith by living out the great commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. A scholar of these faith-driven peoples made this astute observation. She found in them a fleshing out of what Christian love is. First, it's about God's love for us. Not just for us, but for all people, where all means all. And then the second part of that is our love. It's our love for others. It's our love for God's world, and it's our love for God. And this prepared them to tackle some of the biggest questions of our faith. They lived in stark contrast to the continuous indulgence of gluttony that is central to our being. They remind us of the virtues of fasting. Fasting from food. Fasting from our overly busy lives, from our phones and tablets, from our anger, from our desires to seek retribution and get even, from hurtful speech, from arrogant and mean-spirited behavior. Quite a list. They developed a deeper trust in each other. And more importantly than that, they developed a deeper trust in God. A deeper trust in God. This trust that I'm speaking about isn't foolish. It isn't naive. You see, real trust is a form of power. A form of power. Real trust isn't gullibility or blindly believing everyone is telling you the truth all the time. Real trust makes real conversations possible. Real conversations, they stir up disagreements. It happens. And within those ensuing conversations brought on by differing opinions or understandings, with respect and love and trust, those foundational things, you can have those conversations. Relationships in our families and within our society and society itself are elevated by high levels of trust. I keep hearing about that, how much people trust the Supreme Court or various things in our society. And it's not on an upward trend right now. In these real trusting relationships, creativity increases. New opportunities and new perspectives seemingly come out of nowhere. So when Jesus says, hey, we need to take a rest, sleep is only part of it, maybe half. Jesus wants us. I'm going to say Jesus needs us to pray, to meditate on God's love, to sing songs of praise and longing and lament for the purpose of falling more deeply in love with God. It isn't just simply hard work, because it is. It's a really risky business. Stepping into deserted places challenges our assumptions about God and who we are. In discovering the wideness of God's love and mercy, we just might discover that our love for God and for others is a little too small. I'll be honest with you. I hate that when that happens. When I have to be the one that changes. Don't care for it. But it is also really wonderful when it does happen. In the stillness and the quiet of deserted spaces, you find yourself noticing the divine imprint in, with, and under all of creation. And that's absolutely one of the most beautiful things that can happen to us. This is what we need all the time. All the time. We especially need it if we are to be about Jesus' work of making good trouble. It takes a whole lot of trouble to make this world a better place for all of us. In February of this year, after 505 days in captivity, Omer Shem-Tov was released from Hamas control. 505 days. By his own account, he had never been a religious person. Alone in his deserted place, 130 feet underground, he began the daily ritual of reciting and meditating on Psalm 20. May the Lord answer you on a day of distress. Omar was looking, by his own words, he was looking for something to lean on, to hold on to. So he went to God. And when he went to God, he reported he himself felt the power of God enter into him. If that happens with you, you're going to feel it differently than anybody else. Throughout his captivity, Hamas moved him many times. He was forced to walk and crawl through tunnels. Above ground, he was dressed as a Muslim woman and moved to other places. Israeli airstrikes threatened his life and shattered windows and left big clouds of billowing black smoke, making it difficult for everyone to breathe. For 50 days, he sat in a small, stifling cell with hardly any food at all. He got just a little biscuit one day and a few drops of salty water. There were no lights. He could barely breathe because guess what? He's got asthma, and his asthma got worse. It acted up. Still, Psalm 20 was part of his daily ritual. Eventually, he was moved to a larger underground chamber with white tiled walls and woohoo, electricity. Of all the times and in all these horrible conditions, Omer decided that he was going to go kosher. Go kosher. Many other captives were killed by Hamas, or their lives were cut short by air raids or starvation. Omar, living as a desert father, chose to treat his captives well. Chose to treat his captives well. I personally can't imagine, in all honesty, I don't think I want to be able to. I want to be safe. I don't think I can imagine how horrendous his conditions were while he was in captivity. His prayers and meditation on Psalm 20 released him, even in captivity. It transformed him. I think he came to understand God's love more deeply than he ever had before. I'm not sure he knows that yet. That's how Omer could be kind to his captors. There were many times when he cooked and cleaned for them. Once he worked for 14 days straight, helping to reopen a collapsed tunnel underground, 7 hours a day. And in return, his captors gave him an inhaler to help him breathe better. They gave him food. And I have to say it, they didn't kill him. Free again, Omer continues his faith practices and tries to heal from his 505 days of captivity. There are quiet, deserted places all around us. You could be alone on the beach. You could take a walk alone on the beach and ignore the rest of the people around you. There's that wonderful time in the early morning when you're the only one who's awake and the house is quiet. There are parks and park benches. And if you really wanted to, those of you who have a car could go sit in your car. Crack the windows, turn on the AC, do something to be comfortable. If you can't come up with a deserted place where you can go, pray about it. Seriously, pray about it. Pray about it so that you can think of one. Or that you can ask somebody else for a suggestion because they know your life. When we follow Jesus to a deserted place and focus on God's love and mercy, we are made new, transformed. We are better equipped to be those holy disruptors sent out for the sake of the world. Amen. Please stand and we will sing.